ask the question, what causes people to radicalize to violent extremism? We saw in the last episode that for individuals acting alone or lone wolves, there's one set of reasons around social exclusion and self-regulation failure. In this part 2 of this question, we're going to look at what causes people to radicalize in groups. Now that stands in sharp contrast to so-called normative extremism. Extremism that's valorized and supported by your family and friends. In this case, sometimes it's actually quite high status to become a violent actor. There are division of roles that support violent action by some people, such as some elite young men, but are supported by fundraising organizations and networks of sympathizers that will promote the ideology. So there's a whole collection, a much bigger social problem in terms of numbers, but also a much bigger social problem because each actor, violent actor, is supported by the social connections that they have formed within that group. So de-radicalizing in this case is completely independent of self-regulation problems and to some extent independent of social exclusion problems. The people who are violent actors may be very tightly embedded in close connections and senses, feel a high sense of belonging, whereas the people who are non-normative violent extremists to some extent are more alienated and marginalized. There are two paths to de-radicalization of normative extremism. One of them is to try and change people's identities, and this can happen sometimes, particularly around the identity of becoming a parent or having a close relationship. So when your mom asks you to leave, when your wife asks you to leave, when you want to spend more time with your kids, those family identities can sometimes rise up and take people out of a violent extremist group, leading them to quit the movement. In other cases, identities can change based on acts of atrocity committed by your own group, where you feel a sense of wave of revulsion. But in general, it's extremely hard to change someone's identity in a conflict context, for obvious reasons. When I'm engaging in conflict and violence to support a particular identity, you can't make me feel less like I'm part of that group. I feel deeply committed to that group. So then we need to look at norm change, and norm change involves trying to make the social rules that support violent extremism within the group change to support something else. And we'll say more about that in another video.